Welcome back to Briggs on Books, our international talk show where we talk to authors from all over the world and find out a little bit about them, about their books, and maybe about their process. Our first guest today is from somewhere in Virginia, Amanda Cockrell. Welcome, Amanda.
Thank you. Thank you. It's Roanoke, Virginia.
Roanoke, Virginia. Okay.
Roanoke, Virginia.
I'm going to just put up this cover of your book for a moment because it's intriguing. Coyote Weather. Tell us a little bit about the book, Amanda.
Well, it's set between 1967 and 1972, and it's about a couple of people trying to navigate that particular era. Jerry hasn't made any plans for the future because with the Cold War and atom bomb drills and the prospect of Vietnam, he's not sure he's going to have one. And Ellen feels as if having a plan is the only thing that can keep her world stable. So they're not exactly a good match. But unfortunately, they fall in love with each other, which gives them a great deal of trouble. But I wrote it because I discovered that I don't know any man of my generation who does not have something left from the Vietnam War.
Yep.
Whether he joined the military or evaded the draft or went to Canada or was drafted or volunteered or just got a high lottery number and feels sort of guilty about it. I don't know any man who doesn't have some Vietnam story.
They're still holding a little piece of that. That era you're referring to, that's my favorite era to read about and watch movies about and study because just so much was going on at that period. The book, does it give a feel for the whole, everything going on, like you said?
Yes, yeah. In fact, it's not set in Vietnam. There are a couple of very small scenes set in Vietnam, but it's primarily a story of what was going on over here. Yeah. And the characters become involved not only with the anti-war movement, but Ellen becomes involved with the women's movement, which to some extent grew out of the anti-war movement and the civil rights movement, right, because the women wanted to take an active part and were essentially told, go staple the placards and make the sandwiches. Yep. We boys are going to be in charge.
Yeah. And they were for a bit.
And they were. And so Ellen becomes involved in that. Ellen has lots more adventures than I ever did. She essentially has the jobs I had because it's easy to write out of your own experience. So her jobs are she works for the society page of a newspaper, which is the only place that would hire women. Right. She works for a radio station, but she has far more adventures than I did.
I was going to say, this sounds a lot like Amanda Cockrell.
Well, only in the background. As I said, Ellen has far more adventures. Ellen goes to the big anti-war demonstration in D.C. in 1967, which I didn't do, and does a lot of other adventurous things.
Would you call this historical fiction?
It's historical fiction.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I should get into the depression that sets in when you discover that a book set during your 20s is historical fiction.
I know, that's right.
That was a bit saddening.
Now tell us where the book is set.
It's mainly set in Southern California. It's mainly set in Ojai, thinly disguised in the book as Ayala. There are some scenes in Virginia where Ellen goes to college. Ellen has gone to my college just because, again, good background. There are some scenes in Northern California during the time Jerry goes and lives on a commune for a while. Now, but most of it takes place in Ayala/Ojai. Yeah.
As I say, this is my favorite era to read about and study and watch movies about. But who's going to read this book?
I have been talking to book clubs lately.
Oh, that's nice.
And it turns out that people of my generation are reading this book. And several of the women at the most recent one said, I'm buying another copy to give this to my niece. She needs to know what it was like.
Yeah. So I think young people would get a big kick out of it. It sounds like it's a book for everybody, really.
Well, I hope so. I mean, every writer always hopes so. I didn't write it as any kind of protest or anything, but more as a record of what it was like, because it seemed to me that the war laid some kind of fault line across society, across American culture. And I don't think we have been since then. The only time we've been so politically polarized as then is now, unfortunately.
Right. Now, let me ask you this, Amanda. First of all, the book is intriguing. I, do so many interviews, I can't even begin to read the books.
No, of course you can't.
But I'm going to read this one because you got me hooked.
Boy.
You got me hooked. I love to read about that era. Tell me about your website. What would our viewers find there?
They will find all of the books I've written with links. They will find a little meditation from me on why I write and my background as a writer. They will find the books that I write with essentially my other head, which is first century Roman Empire family saga / military adventure.
Wow.
I've written a bunch of those. Those are much more my bread and butter.
Yeah.
Coyote Weather is the book of my heart.
Yeah.
I worked on that book for 25 years trying to get it to come right, to come the way I wanted it to find a press that wanted it. And, it's the book of your heart that's always the one that you struggle with.
Right. Yeah. As a writer who's done a lot of books, I just looked at your Amazon page. What's your process? We have so many authors out there who haven't finished their process yet. You sit down every day. Are you real disciplined?
I'm not terribly disciplined, but I'm very regular about it. I guess it amounts to the same thing. Ordinarily I write Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I don't make any other appointments. I'm retired, so I'm home, which is lovely.
Yeah.
Far more time to write than I had when I was working. I usually get settled into the keyboard somewhere around noon, and I'll work till it's time to go feed the animals at 6. I do that Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I don't make any other appointments, even for the morning. Doctor's appointments, vet, whatever, goes Tuesday and Thursday.
Tuesday and Thursday. Now, do you write just when you sit at the keyboard, or are you always composing in your head?
I'm composing in my head to some extent, and I will sometimes pull out my phone and dictate a message to myself if I think of something I don't want to lose. I keep a little notebook by the bed. But mainly it's at the keyboard.
Yeah, it's an amazing time to be a writer. I mean, with the tools you have from the word processor to be able to dictate into your phone and stuff like that. I'm sure when you were in college, my college days, we had no computers at all, no word processors.
No. I have my little portable Olivetti.
Yeah, that's right.
I was a late adopter of word processing because when it first was available, it was so clunky and so counterintuitive that I just said, this is spinach, forget it, I can't stand it. And when I ended up renumbering the pages of a 400-page manuscript with whiteout and the typewriter because I'd made some additions, I said, okay, and my husband was an early adopter, and I said, okay, find me, get me a computer, get me a word processor, I am converted.
That is great. Amanda, tell me about the formats of your book, the current book.
The format?
Is it like you can read it on the tablet, or is it audio
Oh,
books?
yeah. Coyote Weather is available in print and ebook.
Ebooks too. Okay.
Ebook too.
Nice.
And I'm discovering that the ebooks with both Coyote Weather and also the Roman Empire books, the ebooks are far more sales than the print.
Is that right? I have not tried it yet, but those print books are getting harder and harder to read because the type's getting smaller and smaller, or my eyes are going or something. So I'm going to try an ebook.
Something like a little combination. I find the same thing, although I really like a book I can hold in my hand.
I love it. I love that too.
Given my druthers, I want it in print. But the ebook is great because it's searchable. I bought review book, not review books. I do book reviews, so I get sent review books. What I meant was research books in e-format because I can search them easily.
Yeah, I did. I was a researcher for a long time, and that would be such a valuable thing. Amanda, you said something earlier, and I want to jump on that and say it to our viewers? You said a friend was going to buy a copy and give it to their kid or whatever. When you go to order this book, don't order one. Order 5 of them. Give them away. I love to do that, and I get everybody I know reading the same book at the same time, and this would be a fun book for that. I should call it a book club because that's what they do, I think.
Yeah.
Amanda, yeah. I'm going to go overtime because you're an amazing person to talk to. Any last thoughts for our viewers?
Last thoughts. Oh, goodness.
Like buy the book?
I have to say read the book. Of course I want you to read the book. But if you're of my generation, you will recognize people in it. And if you are not, you may find that it is interesting in a way you hadn't thought of that period being interesting.
And it sounds like a good way for people to discover that period that didn't live through it. So
I think it is because it's primarily character driven. Yeah. It's not a political history. I cut out some things because it was too long and they were digressions. I had 2 chapters on the 1968 Democratic Convention.
Oh boy.
But the person who was there wasn't my main character. And I have a bad habit of herring off after secondary characters, and my editor said, cut that.
Well, thank you, Amanda, for coming on the show, and we want to have you back again.
Thank you very much.
Maybe when I finish the book, I'll give you a call back.
Okay, that would be great. I would love it.
All right, and for our viewers, stick around. We'll have another author right after this.